You are a child who grew up in the narrow streets of Calabria, staring every night at the yellowish light seeping through your neighbor's windows. But no light comes from your window because there's no money to pay the electricity bill. Your father has been unable to get out of bed since the workplace accident at the factory last year, and no one will provide the 40,000 euros needed for surgery. No bank, no government, no God. Only one man can. The man at the bar on the corner who has been watching you for weeks, who once said, "Bravo ragazzo" to you. And on the day the doctor at the state hospital looks your mother in the face and says, "There is nothing we can do," you go to that man. You knock on his door because no other door remains. When that day comes, you say yes because you believe you have no other choice. But the truth is, this yes is the last free word that will ever leave your mouth. Your first task is small. Deliver a package to the other side of the city, on the back seat of an old Fiat, covered with a coat. You cannot ask what's inside because you instinctively know you are not supposed to ask. Besides, men who asked have not been seen on these streets again. When the package is delivered, you use the money in the envelope they give you to pay for your father's surgery. When the doctor says, "It went well," you lean against the wall in the corridor and weep long and silently. But you don't yet know the real reason for those tears. Nothing will ever go well again. Your father recovers, sits down at the table, asks you, "What kind of work do you do?" You say, "Logistics." He nods. He drops the subject because sometimes not knowing is a more merciful choice than knowing. You are now responsible for a few men, and this makes you feel different, powerful, visible, respected. But in Ndrangheta, respect is not a gift. It is a debt that must be constantly re-earned, and to pay that debt, you must occasionally reckon with yourself. You start speaking at neighborhood meetings, relaying orders from above, resolving minor disputes. You go to the neighbor's shop and tell the man who said, "It'll be a little late this month," politely but firmly, "No, it will be on time this month too." And the man understands, everyone understands. Because in this city, the things left unsaid always speak louder than the things that are said. And one night they tell you, "This man is talking. He needs to be silenced." You now know all too well what the word silence means. You remember how your stomach used to clench when you heard it? That feeling is gone now. And this is the thing that unsettles you most. When you come home that night, your wife asks why you were so quiet. You say, "I'm tired." She doesn't believe you, but she doesn't keep asking because she too now knows that knowing certain things, opening certain doors has no return. And she has also learned to live with this intuition, to love in silence. You lie side by side in bed, and the distance between you is no longer measured in centimeters, but in words. You now understand from the inside what sets Ndrangheta apart from the other mafias. Cosa Nostra fell because it centralized, cut off one head, and the whole body stumbled. Camorra devoured itself through internal wars. The streets of Naples became the grave of their ambitions. But Ndrangheta stands because it is structured like DNA. Each Ndrina is self-sufficient, woven together by blood ties, a cell that is nearly impossible to infiltrate. Destroy one, another survives. Destroy that one, yet another blooms. You are now a functioning organ of this organism, carrying out a role the organism isn't even aware of. Restaurants in northern Italy, construction companies, produce markets, small textile workshops. You can now read how money gets cleaned behind the numbers. Dirty money enters a restaurant. Invoices are cut for meals that were never cooked. Clean money comes out. The tax return is spotless. The state looks at the figures and sees nothing. At this level, you are now in contact with sister structures in Duisburg, Germany, construction firms in Ontario, Canada, restaurateurs in Melbourne. Australian Ndrangheta is today the world's largest cocaine distributor, a structure that receives product from Latin American cartels, smuggles it through European ports, changes its logistics routes every 6 months, and keeps informants outside the system. And you are a small but functional link in this global chain. Does this make you proud? You avoid giving the answer, even to yourself, because you know the answer is yes. And this both thrills you and makes you feel like a stranger to yourself. In the mornings, you look in the mirror and realize you are searching for that boy from Calabria. You cannot find him. And you file this away in a corner too. Someone who has watched you reach this point above your superiors, though he never says so openly. You only notice how everyone straightens slightly when he enters a room, comes to you and asks, "Are you ready for the Vangelo?" His voice is low, but its weight fills the ceiling. In Italian, Vangelo means gospel, and this is no coincidence, because Ndrangheta positions itself like a religion. Among its members are oaths intertwined with genuine Catholic rituals. The feast day of St. Michael is marked on the organization's calendar. Meetings held in church courtyards are simultaneously acts of worship and negotiation. The line between the sacred and the worldly has been deliberately erased, because this blurring both reinforces loyalty from within and makes infiltration from outside nearly impossible. At the initiation ceremony, you enter a basement room, faces half in shadow, half human. In the light of candles, the skin pricked by a needle on your palm stings, but you make no sound, because bearing this pain in silence is also part of the test. The flowing blood is dripped into a bowl, and you repeat, word for word, the phrases you were made to memorize. Your voice trembles, but your posture holds. This blood is not merely a symbol of loyalty, it is an insurance policy. There is no exit now, because leaving is betrayal, and betrayal is a crime with only one sentence. A sentence that is never suspended, never commuted to a fine. When you step out of the ceremony, the cold air of the street hits your face, and for the first time truly you feel that there is no way back. Not just as a thought, but inside your bones. With every breath, you now lead an Ndrangheta, and this is a far heavier burden than being the CEO of a company, because a company's bankruptcy sends you to prison, but a clan's collapse sends you to the grave. The difference is that stark and that final. Every decision is irreversible. Who gets promoted? Who gets warned? Who is never seen again? Which alliance is forged? Which bridge is quietly burned? How much money flows into which mayor's election campaign? Which file never reaches? Which prosecutor's desk? Yes, at this level, elected names, robed names, badge-wearing names are in contact with you, never directly, always one or two steps removed. But the contact exists, everyone knows, no one says anything. This makes you feel powerful, but it also slams a sharp truth in your face. You didn't break the system was already broken, and you merely filled the cracks. Without those cracks, you would not exist either. You repeat this to yourself because you need an excuse to be able to sleep. And this excuse is far more sophisticated than that envelope in the room in Calabria, but its essence is the same. There was no other way to survive. Your son asks you, "Dad, what am I going to be when I grow up?" 8 years old, at the table, a crayon in his hand, an unfinished drawing of a house in his notebook. You look at him. You really look at him. Perhaps for the longest time you have ever looked, and you give no answer. He asks again. You say whatever you want. Your voice comes out low. He bows his head and goes back to coloring his house. That night, you cannot sleep. This is the layer that theoretically exists, but has never been fully proven. The people who coordinate, above all the Ndrangheta, who gather once or twice a year on the misty slopes of the Aspromonte Mountains, in the back room of a small village church, or in the barn of an ordinary-looking farm, whose names appear in Interpol files, followed by question marks. You are now one of those people, or at least you think you are, because at this level, certainty no longer exists. Everyone half knows everyone. It is never stated exactly whose hands power rests in. And this ambiguity is the organization's greatest weapon. No one speaks loudly in the meeting room. Decisions are made but not recorded. Agreements are reached but unsigned. Everything said in this room dissolves like morning mist. And only the outcomes remain. And the outcomes are always clear, always final, always irreversible. But now go back, just for a minute, and calculate this. How many of your friends walked the corridors of Palmy Prison? How many received 30-year sentences and grew old inside by 40? How many were found in a car, or on a street corner, or at the door of their own home? How many were taken into witness protection and sentenced to live under another name, in another city, unable to see their children, unable to share their past with anyone? And now be honest with yourself, truly honest. In all the years since your father's surgery, what do you feel inside every morning when you wake up? Pride, exhaustion, or that heavy, blunt feeling that sits right in the center of your chest? The one you cannot name. When you look in the mirror, who is the man you see? Is that child from the streets of Calabria still there, somewhere deep down, or have you already left him behind completely and without return? And most importantly, if that night, before you knocked on that door, there had been another door, one you saw but chose not to see, one you were afraid of and walked past, if you could have said no to that man, could you have, truly? Ndrangheta today is a structure generating an estimated annual revenue of 50–60 billion euros worldwide, described by Europol as Europe's most dangerous criminal organization. This text was written not to glorify criminal organizations, but to understand how such structures draw ordinary people in through ordinary acts of desperation. Write your thoughts in the comments, subscribe and like for more.